Chairman, Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has assured the Commission's commitment to remain focused on delivering a free, fair, and credible election in Ekiti State. Professor Mahmood gave the assurance at a one-day quarterly consultative meeting with the media in Abuja. Registered voters in Ekiti State will on 14 July elect new political leaders. INEC boss noted that Ekiti State so far has 913,334 registered voters, while only 630 persons have collected their voters card.
For this meeting, and understandably so, emphasis will be placed on the Ekiti governorship election. As you are probably aware, the election will be conducted in 2,195 polling units spread across 177 wards in 16 local government areas. 35 political parties are contesting in the election, and so far the Commission has successfully implemented 12 out of the 14 activities listed in our timetable and schedule of activities released 9 months ago on the 5th of October 2017. The two outstanding activities are the last day of campaign, which is on the midnight of July 12th, then followed by election day proper. We shall continue to implement these activities and all other activities for all the elections going into the 2019 general elections. And we always appreciate not only your reporting of our activities, but also in this kind of forum, the comments and suggestions and observations that you have always made.
He advised Nigerians not to drag the Commission into a political discussion and maintained that INEC will maintain its standard and never to compromise.
However, let me seize the opportunity of this meeting to comment on the unfortunate fixation in certain quarters that INEC officials are involved in deliberately perverting the processes and procedures for the conduct of proper elections for partisan considerations. Instead of approaching the Commission with evidence of any potential or actual infractions for remedial action in the interest of our democracy, some prefer press conferences in which the Commission and a handful of its officials are criticized and maligned. We should stop seeing INEC as a political party or its officials as rival candidates. We are not a political party. We have no candidate in any election. We shall continue to maintain our integrity as election managers. I wish to reassure you that our procedures are robust, really robust. The claim that the permanent voter cards are cloned and the smart card readers preloaded is simply ludicrous. No such thing has happened. No such thing is happening. The card readers are only configured to specific polling units 72 hours or less before an election.
In Abuja, LM Chukwamika reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari Thursday in Abuja declared national emergency on corruption, warning that institutions, agencies and individuals must own the fight to reverse the negative culture of pilfering public funds or risk plunging the country into turmoil. President Buhari stated this while signing an Executive Order No. 6 to further strengthen institutions on curtailing and restricting illicit activities in the country at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja, added that it has become necessary to rekit, retool the arsenal to be able to effectively tackle corruption's perilous counter-attack against the Nigerian state.
Regrettably, the most unfortunate cause of great disparity between Nigeria's wealth and its poverty is endemic corruption. There is also a very strong link between corruption, peace, and security. Unfortunately, corruption is everywhere, at all levels of government and every stratum of our society. Without doubt, corruption constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to the well-being, national security, and economy of Nigeria.
The president said the real battle against corruption will be heightened by the strengthening of the policies and institutions, noting that the administration had achieved some milestones with multi-sectoral reforms on anti-corruption, including the enforcement of Treasury Single Account (TSA).
Accordingly, the federal government of Nigeria has declared a national emergency to deal with the crisis. In this regard, the federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption strategy, seeks to ensure that the ends of justice is not defeated or compromised by persons involved in a case or complaint of corruption. It is in consequence of this that I have decided to issue the Executive Order Number 6 of 2018 to inter alia restrict dealings in suspicious assets subject to investigation or inquiry bordering on corruption in order to preserve such assets from dissipation and to deprive alleged criminals of the proceeds of their illicit activities. This can therefore be employed to allure, pervert, or intimidate the investigative and judicial processes or for acts of terrorism, financing of terrorism, kidnapping, sponsorship of ethnic or religious violence, economic sabotage, and cases of economic and financial crimes, including acts contributing to the economic adversity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and against the overall interests of justice and the welfare of the Nigerian state.
In his remark, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami said the process of corruption had been used to undermine the growth of the economy and heighten insecurity in the country, adding that the fight against corruption would be difficult except policies and institutions were strengthened.
It cannot be overemphasized that the endemic corruption is one of Nigeria's greatest challenges that have made it impossible for Nigeria to attain her potentials. As it were, corruption is currently holding Nigeria by the jugular, and it must be tackled headlong. It is a notorious fact that corruption poses serious threat to Nigeria's continuous existence. There is therefore no need to further amplify them. From available records, the aggregate value of funds involved in some ongoing prosecution of high-profile corruption cases stands at 595,409,834,452 naira 25 kobo. Mostly, the defendants in many of the high-profile cases still have unrestricted access to these funds, and with such war chest, they have made the administrative and judicial process involved in the fight against corruption rather difficult.
The executive order signing was witnessed by cabinet ministers and strategic stakeholders in the fight against corruption. From Abuja, I am Festus Ejiroga Nefifen for Ben Television.
Supreme Court has upheld the appeal of the Senate President Bukola Saraki and discharged him of all charges against him in the case of false declaration of assets. The court upheld the appeal in a lead judgment delivered by Justice Clesus Nweze in Abuja. Senator Saraki had filed an appeal at the Apex Court to challenge the ruling of the Court of Appeal, which asked the Code of Conduct Tribunal (CCT) to try him on 3 of the 18 counts brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crime Commission (EFCC). The lead judgment delivered by Justice Nweze was supported unanimously by the 5-man panel of the court. In the main appeal, the Supreme Court vacated the judgment of the appeal court, which held that Saraki had questions to answer with regard to charges 4, 5, and 6 in an 18-count of non-declaration of assets and money laundering before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The court noted that since the lower court held that the prosecution failed to call those who had direct knowledge about the fact and then turned around to rely on part of it to reach its position, hearsay evidence cannot be used as a proof to establish prima facie case on the 3 out of the 18 counts.
The judgment of the Supreme Court is binding on everyone. So that's the decision of the Supreme Court. It's binding, it's the final. It's the decision of the Apex Court. And we can't just, we must, whether you like it or not, you must abide by it. That's just it.
I ask you the question again. How would you react to the judgment? Papi, are you ready? Please, sir, don't be angry. How would you react to the judgment, sir?
Well, you all listen to the judgment of the court. That's the decision of the Apex Court. And being the decision of the Apex Court is binding on everyone. It's binding on me, it's binding on my client, it's binding on everyone. So the question whether I'm satisfied, it's not the question of my own satisfaction. It's a question of law.
Calm down now. Wait.
You heard the judgment. Down a bit. I just want to say that we are grateful to God. We are grateful to the Supreme Court. This matter is over. Let there be peace in our country. Thank you very much. God bless.
The judgment is a vindication of our case before the trial courts. As you would recall, we had submitted to the trial courts that no case had been made out that warrants our having to enter a defense. And effectively, what the Supreme Court has affirmed is that that position, which was upheld by the lower courts, is correct. We see it as justice being served properly by the Supreme Court, and we can only thank and commend the wisdom and courage of their justices. Thank you very much.
He then vacated the ruling of the appeal court, which he said was equivalent of analytical somersault, and in its place restored the position of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. In June 2017, the CCT quashed an 18-count of false asset declaration and money laundering leveled against the Senate President by the EFCC for lack of merit. The tribunal had also agreed with the Senate President that he has no case to answer, while the appeal court agreed in part with the lower court in its ruling on January 14, 2018. It held that Saraki had a case to answer. From Abuja, Nigeria, Muyo Bamdele reporting.
President Muhammadu Buhari has charged clerics and religious leaders to join hands with this administration for effective fight against insecurity in the land, adding that deploying law enforcement agencies is fully the responsibility of the government, while creating a platform and mechanism for dialogue is collective effort. The president stated this when Christian leaders from the 19 northern states visited him at the Aso Rock Presidential Villa, Abuja, said he came to office vowing to ensure the protection of lives and properties, and he remains committed to this despite the challenges the country is experiencing. He therefore used the medium to seek support from committed Nigerians noting that achieving lasting peace can only be possible with the sincere and active cooperation of communities, religious leaders, youths, and other stakeholders, including the media, in whose hands lies the power to frame, shape the perspective and narrative that influences the thinking of millions of people within and outside Nigeria. On his part, leader of the Christian delegation, Yakubu Pam, said they came to the president as the father of the nation to do everything within his powers to stop the bloodshed in the region.
Cry out to Mr. President over the killings of innocent Nigerians, especially here in northern Nigeria, and particularly Christians. We came with deep hearts, very heavy hearts, to talk to Mr. President. Everybody that have any other thing they want to do before have left it. To make sure that we're here in our numbers. And being here today is to say to him, if there is a way these killings will be stopped in our region, in northern Nigeria, because most of the people being killed are innocent people.
What reassurance did you get from Mr. President?
Mr. President have said he will look into all that we have presented to him.
The delegation is made up of Christian Association of Nigerian state chairmen from the 19 northern states and mostly general overseers from different denominations across the northern states of Nigeria. From Abuja, I'm Festus Ejiroga Nefife for Ben Television.
Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has blamed federal government for our inability to anticipate, manage and control the crisis rocking the nation, which had led to wanton loss of lives and properties. Briefing newsmen in Abuja, ASU President Professor Biodun Ogunyemi said the union condemned in totality the unjustified loss of lives arising from the conflict. He accused the country's ruling class as the sponsors of the crisis.
The Nigerians, described as herdsmen, are employed cattle attendants working for large cattle owners. They are an equivalent of poor peasants working for rich farmers. What is called farmers' pastoralist conflict is really a classic case of poor hired pastoral workers inevitably being forced into a war in quote, against poor peasants for ultimately the main benefit of rich farmers. This is the class nature of the crisis.
He noted that a lot needs to be done in the nation's education sector in order to compete with others around the world.
Free, universal and compulsory basic education in the country, it is little surprise that most public primary and secondary schools are in despicable and deplorable states from which no one should expect a solid foundation for Nigeria's educational development. Yet, both federal and state governments revel in proliferating tertiary institutions, particularly universities, for prestige and political reasons, and not for the sake of fulfilling any obligation to the people. Many of these academic institutions, established without any funding agenda, like those in existence before them, are now, in less than 10 years, crying loud for survival.
In Abuja, LM Chukwemeka reports.